Hi, everyone. I just wanted to take this moment and talk about something that has been discussed much recently in my workplace, and I think in other people's workplaces. It is regarding dress in the workplace. So I put this presentation together to kind of run through some of the scenarios talking about dress in the workplace. So I entitled this, What Happened to Don Draper? The Supposed Death of Business Attire in Corporate America. I think anecdotally, we have seen many instances where dress has become more and more casual in the workplace, and especially in areas that really have been defined through their strict business attire. So anyway, as we get into it, we see that there's kind of been an evolution over the last 20 years even of dress in the workplace, and unfortunately it hasn't been it seems a good evolution. So this is what we call the casual creep, in the sense that we started out in a full suit and tie. We moved to the business casual that included a blazer and a button-up shirt, but just with no tie. We moved to polo and khakis. Next thing we saw is hoodies and t-shirts. We see some people moving into like football jerseys and jeans on casual Fridays, and then we get to the area where guys or people are coming into work with shorts and flip-flops and very casual shirts. Is this what we're seeing? Is this what's happening to dress in the workplace across the board? Many people that you would ask, especially very traditional conservative dress types, would argue that absolutely this type of thing is happening. But maybe not. Maybe the suit is actually here to stay. In a survey that was done in 2012 and 2002, you can see that there are some interesting numbers here. In 2002, companies that approved casual dress codes were about 53%. These are people who could wear casual dress in their workplace pretty much at any time, versus 43% required business attire. In 2012, while you would argue that, with the dot-com era booming and, a lot of startups in Silicon Valley, that probably moved to even more casual, the face of that is like Mark Zuckerberg, data actually indicates the opposite. We have 65% of the companies in 2012 that require actual business attire, suits, ties, pantsuits for the women, that type of thing, whereas only 35% allowed casual dress. But why do we see that, or why does it seem to us that it's becoming more and more casual in the workplace? Well, I think there's two reasons for it. One, casual dress stands out. When you see someone who should be in a client-facing service capacity and they're wearing casual dress, it seems to stand out more than it does when they're wearing professional dress. You kind of expect the professional dress, and when you see the casual, they just tend to catch your eye a little bit more. The other thing too is we're riding the wave of the millennials. It's millennial. We're seeing it. This is what we're looking at. So therefore, because we're getting more millennials in our workplace, they of course love dressing casually. They love wearing their hoodies. I don't know if there's much truth to that in a sense, but it's definitely associated with the casual dress is associated with the millennial generation. The other problem that we see is casual Fridays. Obviously, casual Fridays can be used and abused a little bit. I love these pictures because it shows, like, look, casual Fridays, sometimes they don't work out. There's problems with defining what casual Friday means for every person. One company, it might be just take off the tie, but you keep the suit and the button-up shirt. You just unbutton that top button. Other companies literally mean come in shorts and a t-shirt. It just depends sometimes on the personal interpretation of casual Fridays. And unless there's a very clear policy about that, it can be abused and thus make your workplace seem a little bit more casual than it probably should, or the opposite of that. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that reality is reality. Obviously, Silicon Valley has their dress code that is, khakis, t-shirts, graphic tees, hoodies. I mean, these are guys who are sitting in front of a computer, not really client facing necessarily. They're just writing code or, designing infrastructure systems or computer infrastructure systems. And then, like, on the other hand, you've got like maybe a law firm where they are very much client facing. They're in a court setting sometimes. They need to represent themselves. And what has to happen here is we have to recognize that different industries have different standards and that we shouldn't conflate the two of them. It would be unreasonable if I were a paralegal in a firm to expect that I could walk in there with a hoodie and, khaki shorts and flip-flops and, be okay. Likewise, it would be really weird if I wore a power suit and a power tie sitting down at my computer in a, startup garage, like cramming out code. That just seems weird. So what we need to do is recognize that different industries have different standards by which they have their dress code. And saying just because, look, Mark Zuckerberg wears a hoodie to his CEO meetings is much different than saying that Jack Welch should wear a hoodie at his meeting. It just doesn't fit the same. Really, if we're going to do dress code right, we need to make sure that it empowers the employees. Okay. What it does is, if you do the dress code correctly, it shows respect. It allows your employees to show respect for their employees. It shows respect for themselves, and it makes everybody feel comfortable in a workable environment. A lot of it depends on what you do, and where you're working. And so there shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all dress code for all companies. A company should look at, what is the role well, let me put it this way. Not only should a company look at this, but the employee should look at what is their role within the company. I mean, are they working in a mailroom setting? Are they an IT guy? Are they a groundskeeper? Are they, a first-line supervisor? Are they a CEO? Are they, a professional chauffeur? They have to look and see what kind of role that they do and what is the standard uniform outfit, if you will, for that role. Most CEOs don't really wear hoodies. Mark Zuckerberg's kind of the exception to that. The second thing you have to look at is your interaction with the public. I mean, how often are you very client-facing, and does that fit within your role? I think a great example of this is a consultant. If they are working at their home company all the time and they're, up in their building and just kind of not facing anybody, yeah, it doesn't matter if they're wearing a suit and tie most of the time, probably not. But most consultants are very client-facing. They need to go out and project an image of themselves and the company and what they do. The other thing that you have to take into account is clientele. I love the idea of the freelance photographer here. Someone who's going out and taking pictures of nature or of couples or what they're doing. I mean, you expect that freelance photographer to get down on the ground or get up in a tree or really kind of work at making sure that the shot is right. I don't expect them to be out in a suit and a tie for that. But I do expect them to kind of be in jeans and or shorts, whatever's going to allow them to do their job correctly, while making the subjects comfortable. So, cracking the dress code. Here's really, in my opinion, what this really needs to boil down to for most companies. One, it needs to be adaptable. It should be adaptable for different scenarios within the company. One size doesn't fit all within the entire corporate America, and it doesn't necessarily need to fit with all of your employees within the company itself. There's just a lot of different roles that different people do and a lot of different scenarios. So your dress code should be adaptable. The companies need to take the clientele, public interaction, and positions of their employees into account when adjusting this dress code. It also needs to fit within the industry. It needs to fit within what the standards of the industry. Again, Mark Zuckerberg wearing a hoodie as a CEO of a tech firm startup works perfectly for Silicon Valley. It does not work like on Madison Avenue. Lastly, what your dress code says, what you decide your dress code to be, really reflects the company culture that you're trying to set out there. So keep that in mind as you're setting it. I want to leave with the example that Booz Allen did for their dress code, and I really, really, really like the way that they did this. They said that you need to dress for your day. Okay, so look at your calendar, choose the attire that suits your schedule, like your clientele, your location, and who you want to be. They added a little bit of humor in there about making sure you add your Booz Allen branded scarves or pocket squares, but they were just kidding about that. But they gave a little bit of tips on how employees should look at their day and how to dress for it. Do they have a client interaction? Like, who's the clientele? What is their dress there? Like, should you just match it, or should you be above it just a little bit so that you reflect that your seriousness and commitment to them? I think that's great because within Booz Allen, they have many different clients. Some of them are very, very casual all the time. Some of them are very, very strict business attire all the time. It would be difficult to say, look, everybody needs to wear a suit and tie all the time, because that might make them stand out worse if the environment's very casual. Conversely, if we didn't have this in place, too casual in a very business attire focused meeting might make them stand out in the wrong way. They say, for example, is it in a Booz Allen office on Friday? Go work appropriate casual. And yes, that could include jeans. In a Booz Allen office, that means they're likely not facing many clients. So they're saying, like, it's appropriate to dress down quite a bit. Meeting with a leader at the firm, leave the suit at home. It's okay. Working at home with no video conferences, go nuts. We'll never tell. I love that idea. Like, they're just giving the flexibility to the employee to determine what they need. And lastly, they say, look, if you're not sure if this is right, go talk to your manager, and they'll kind of help you decide what is right. All in all, if you're ever in doubt, it's better to overdress than underdress. You can always take the tie off, unbutton the button, and go business casual real fast. You can always take the jacket off, roll up your sleeves, and even go more casual. You got to kind of use your best judgment in how you do it. And your company is a company, you should be thinking about some of the best ways to adapt your policies to help your clients, help your employees, and basically help your company culture find what its right niche is with this. So with that, I just want to thank you and just remind you that make sure that we don't have our casual days go too far. Thank you very much. Have a great day.